September was a fairly disappointing month for new MMOs. We had EverCraft, Cabal Return of Action, an open beta for the First Descendant, which really isn't even an MMO, AnyMMO, and Waven all enter a type of playable form. October, unfortunately, looks to be roughly similar, not horrible, but at least we have more MMOs in terms of options. Several new MMO releases, a couple test phases, and most importantly, I'll be streaming over on Twitch at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time this weekend and every weekend. So you should come on over, join me, and the MMO fun. Otherwise, hey, if you enjoy staying up to date with what's releasing, and more specifically this series, make sure to like the video, leave a comment telling me what MMO you're most looking forward to, subscribe to the channel, and hit that little bell notification. Oh, and make sure to check out the last episode in the series at the end of this video in case you missed an MMO last month. Trust me, with how little marketing a lot of these MMOs do, you're gonna want to make sure you don't miss any. Now, let's jump in and see if we can't find something for you to waste the next month in. PAX Day describes itself as a social sandbox MMO inspired by legends of the medieval era. The game is set in a large, completely open world, allowing players the freedom to play what they want, however they want. The devs claim the game will allow for thousands of players to all play together seamlessly, probably not in dungeons or raids, but out in the world. There is an emphasis on crafting, as apparently everything in-game is produced by players: your armor, your home, items, tools, materials. It features an entirely player-driven economy, which does have its pros and cons, and is set to be one of the most anticipated upcoming Western MMOs in the immediate future. And for the first time ever, the devs have confirmed there will be a fully playable alpha test phase, and sooner than you might think. In their blog posted on September 19th, they claimed something like in a few weeks, which means that it could be within the first half of October 2023, or maybe even in the second half. I don't know. It honestly doesn't even matter, so long as we get a look at what the game is and how it functions, which I'm really excited for. Do you remember Torim Online, one of Asabimo's most successful and simultaneously highest quality mobile MMORPGs? They've repeatedly tried to replicate the success that Torim experienced, and while they've yet to achieve that up until this point, that isn't to say that it won't happen, and this is Asabimo's latest attempt. Metria is a very cute, and I know you guys are going to immediately say Genshin clone, but anime MMO that has a very bright, very vibrant aesthetic. Okay, so yeah, you know what? It kind of looks like a Genshin Impact MMO if Genshin had a really cluttered UI. It seems as though combat is hybrid action combat, with players able to freely use their abilities without an enemy, but when an enemy is present, it automatically locks onto them. You can cycle through enemies, not through the tab key, as Metria is not a PC MMO, sadly. Rather, it's a mobile MMO, like all of Asabimo's games. Asabimo's recent releases have all been very mediocre, and if I'm being honest, Metria looks to be another game following suit. Torim is fully cross-platform compatible between PC and mobile, and I believe if Metria wanted to be more than just a laughable mobile MMO, they really should have targeted both platforms as well. Either way, the game is currently in a pre-registration phase, meaning that you can sign up in preparation of its release, presumably at some point in October. If you've been waiting on Fractured Online to be playable after their recent fallout with Gamigo, you might be in luck. Fractured Online is essentially a Western take on Lost Ark, featuring a similar top-down isometric perspective, action combat, although the similarities really end there. Fractured Online is much more focused on life simming, fighting monsters, acquiring materials, crafting gear, items, trying to survive a dangerous world. It's part survival, part MMO, and from what I played back during its beta a couple years ago, it wasn't half bad. It was very incomplete, but not half bad. And I'm happy to be able to potentially try the beta out a little more, the final beta test, before they release into early access. The beta began September 28th, so yesterday, and will run through October 15th, providing players ample opportunity to test the game out ahead of its early access, which I believe is going to be a paid early access. And thus, I strongly urge you to either watch someone play the game, wink wink, or go in with the knowledge that this is still very early in development and could potentially be a complete and utter waste of your money. Before we go any further into the remainder of what we have to look forward to, let me take a moment here to thank my incredible patrons over on Patreon. You guys allow for me to continue to do regular videos like this every single day. After what feels like years, Corp Punk is finally holding their first look test phase. Corp Punk is one of the few MMOs that I've been eagerly anticipating. It's a top-down isometric action MMO, yeah, like Lost Ark, like Fractured Online. The difference is, unlike Fractured, which looks and feels like an indie game, Corp Punk doesn't. Corp Punk looks incredibly high quality, and from what I've seen, I would wager a guess it is one of the few Western MMOs with any real potential to leave a dent in the market. According to their blog post, they will be holding a test phase beginning on September 30th, with 21 handpicked players jumping into their EU server, with plans of holding test phases like this on a monthly basis. It looks as though the test phase will be under an NDA, at least visually, with a full release into early access planned for December 2023, just a couple months from now, which is very exciting, as that was one of the few early content creators to cover the game when it initially announced. Actually, I got a box from them with some really cool goodies. If you look behind me during any of my videos, not this one, but typically in my videos, you'll see I have a box that says Corp Punk. Throne and Liberty is one of the most anticipated MMOs of 2024, or it was one of the most anticipated MMOs of 2024 before they absolutely gutted the game with autoplay and pay to win. Despite them removing autoplay, the game has proven it still requires it, as it is built around it as a feature. But that's not what we're here to discuss. Rather, Throne and Liberty is holding their technical test, which has been running for over a week now and runs through October 3rd. I know this doesn't leave you a whole lot of time to potentially get in and try the game out, if it's even really possible to get into the game at this point, but I mean, that is why you should be paying attention to this monthly series, right? It keeps you up to date with games, releases, and updates like this. Throne and Liberty seems to be, from what I've seen online, mostly tab target, with a heavy emphasis on open world PvP and grinding, necessitating the need for autoplay to alleviate the arduous grind that is ever present. Despite these issues and the technical tests ending the first week of October, it does seem likely that they'll be holding additional test phases leading up to the game's release later in 2024. Now we just need to wait on the Blue Protocol global beta announcement from Amazon, as they promised that we'd be receiving it in 2023. And that is everything. All of the MMOs slated to release either fully or into some form of test phase this month, at least that I'm aware of. I probably missed one or two, that's bound to happen with more obscure titles. Nevertheless, these are the main games that I've been following. PAX Day could be interesting, although it is just an alpha test phase. Metria could be fun, but it looks and feels way too mobile. Fractured is honestly kind of mediocre. Corp Punk is what I'm most interested in personally, and Throne and Liberty continues to get progressively worse month after month somehow. Overall, not a horrible month. Shame we have no Blue Protocol Korea or China releases, nor a date for Global's beta. But this isn't all there is to look forward to, though, because if none of these games look like games that you'd be interested in, I urge you to check one of these two videos on screen right now.